Guten gardening, everybody. This 3x6 raised bed behind us has been fantastic for us this growing season. We started out the year by harvesting our best ever garlic crop, and we followed that up with a harvest of fall potatoes that were from store-bought potatoes, not even certified seed potatoes, and that exceeded our expectations. And now, I don't know if you can see my breath, but it's a cool morning out here. It's about 35 degrees Fahrenheit. It's going to get up to 50 degrees today, and I'm a couple of weeks later than I'd like to be, but it's time for us to plant our garlic back in this bed. Now, there's a couple of things you should know. Last season, we got our garlic from Keene Garlic, Keene Organics, and they were fantastic. Their website was phenomenal. It still is phenomenal. And we were able to get a ton of suggestions, a ton of information from their site, and a process and procedure to follow for growing the garlic. And this season, we're going to do the same thing, except instead of getting seed garlic from there, we're going to take some of the garlic we grew this past season, which has been curing. It's been cured now for a long while. And I'm going to take this and I'm going to plant this and see how well that does over the growing season. Because one of the things that was suggested is keep some of the bigger garlic cloves, some of the bigger ones that have been produced, and then use those cloves for the next planting. So that's what we're going to do. Now, you can probably already tell I've got the bed fertilized, and I've gone ahead and taken some of my garlic, and this is the chestnut red garlic, and I've gone ahead and put it in the 70% isopropyl alcohol for the sterilization bath that their website recommends. It's going to be in there for about 15 minutes, and then I'm going to go ahead and give these a nutrient soak. Now, what we use is what their website recommends for a nutrient soak, which is some fish emulsion, and we try to soak it for about 45 minutes before we get into planting. So while that is soaking, while that's in its nutrient bath, I'm going to go ahead and set up this bed the rest of the way, just like we did last season, so we can see if we can get comparable, if not even better, results. Now, we have had a couple of days of pretty cold weather, in like a 25 degree Fahrenheit day, but the mix in here is still, it's not going to freeze over that quickly. It's still really nice and loose. It's cold. I'm wearing my glove because I've got some fertilizer here on top. I'm going to mix that down in here. But of interest to me, I've got a couple of spots where we missed some cloves in our first harvest. And because I'm going to be putting some hardware cloth over the top of this to keep the critters out, I'm not sure if this is going to align perfectly. So as much as I hate to disturb it, I'm probably going to have to uproot some of this. We'll see how well it lines up with our hardware cloth. We'll see. I still want it to grow. Well, one of the nice things about this hardware cloth is I've already got the holes cut into it for the garlic to come through every 6 inches, which is the recommendation for bigger garlic. And as I'm looking here, I can see that most of it, well, yeah, most of this doesn't line up. So I'm going to come in and really dig as far out around the garlic that's already growing as possible to disrupt as little as possible. So I can just put this down in there and then get everything replanted. You know, to be honest, I want to be as minimally disruptive as possible in general. I don't like pulling up things that are already growing, but I guess one thing this will enable us to do is to see what that root structure looks like for the clove that's in there already growing. Again, I'm not going to touch it too much here, but if your garlic is coming up now and you know it's going to get a lot colder, don't worry about that. Just give it a nice layer, and you're going to see we're going to put a nice layer of hay over top just to keep it insulated. It'll be just fine. Again, as delicately as possible. Boy, there's a nice root system on these already. Look at those roots. Aren't those beautiful? Shouldn't be touching those. All right, I got to show you something. Something didn't feel right when I went down in here to dig for this one. Something felt like it didn't belong down in here. And I'll show you what it was. I missed some of our fall potatoes whenever I came in here, apparently, and harvested. I think I saw another one down in there. Maybe not. Oh, and here's another clove that was about ready to come up. So that's what happens sometimes. You know, you miss. Oh, there it is. I thought so. Well, it doesn't look like it's damaged at all, so I can get these inside. That's an unexpected potato harvest there. from our fall potatoes. And this looks to be like a multi-part clove right here. It's probably going to be able to be separated. Wow. All right, there we go. Yeah, there's multiple cloves down in here. So this is from the garlic that we let go to seed. So I can plant these as well. Okay, well, I've got my work cut out for me here. You know, you've heard the old adage of rinse and repeat. Well, when we find something that works well for us, it keeps us from losing our entire harvest like we did, 2 years ago now, where we didn't get a single bit of garlic. And we put down this and it helped us last season. We're gonna do it. When we find that the instructions from a website like Keene helps us and we get a really good harvest, our best harvest ever, we're gonna rinse and repeat. Just gotta get this in the rest of the way and we'll get to planting, because it's been about 45 minutes since I've had these garlic cloves soaking. So if we look closely right here, you can see the holes that I've created in here. They're pretty small and they're big enough for the cloves to go through, but they've done a nice job, I would say, as a deterrent. I mean, if you're, a lot of these pests seem to be, you know, pests of opportunity, meaning that if they have easy access, of course they're going to go for what they can get a hold of easily first. So just a little bit of a deterrent. You can see the spacing here, again, about every 6 inches or so. And you may notice that as I go through here that this pops up a little bit, but what I've noticed is the weight of the hay that we put on top of here to keep everything in and insulated does a nice enough job keeping this down. If I need to add some rocks on top, I will. But get these holes poked in here so we're ready. Again, a couple of inches down. Give it 2 to 3 inches of depth for the clove. We should be just fine. So I've got all the holes in here placed and ready. I've got space for 49 cloves, which is about how many I went ahead and prepared. But the first thing I want to do is get the ones that were already started planted back in here. And then I'll move to the ones that don't have any roots yet. I'm gonna have to be pretty gentle with this because these roots are spread out. I want to create a little bit more space around the hole here. It's the one challenge of working with, I would say the challenge of working with this wire mesh. So I try to get the roots placed out around it without breaking them off. And I'm still, I'll try to show you here. Right there's the tip of it, about 1.5 inches down below the top of the soil. And I'm just gonna come back through and fill that up with some potting mix. And for this whole group here, I'm just gonna gently separate. You see how easily the roots come apart here? Kind of reminds me of pulling apart onions whenever I'm getting those ready to be planted. I'm gonna do the same thing here. Get down in here nice and deep. Spread it out as much as I can down below the surface here and gently fit the roots through here, and then do a little surgery down in here to get them out to the side and not facing up. All right, I've got about 2 rows planted with those. Now I'm going to go ahead with the ones that I just soaked. Since there's a suggested correlation between the size of the garlic cloves, I'm going to plant the biggest ones in this, our best bed. And of course, I'm going to plant it with the root side, that flat side down. Get this right down in here. I'm going to get all these planted, and then I'm going to cover this up, and it'll be ready for this winter. All right, every single one of these holes now has a garlic clove inside. And I'm going to take some of this organic Miracle-Gro potting mix that we got for $1. What a great deal, huh? And I'm going to just cover each of these holes. And to mulch this in, I'm just going to take some of this leftover hay from where we grew some sweet potatoes here by our sidewalk. And it's going to go right on top. And I'm going to do my best to give it 3 or 4 inches of this right on top. I want a really nice heavy mulch here for our Zone 5 Wisconsin winter. Well, there it is right behind me, our new garlic bed. It's gonna be out here all winter long. These garlic are gonna be growing roots. They're gonna be getting cold, getting warm, getting cold. It's all part of the process for growing garlic so that come spring, we're gonna see the greens pop right through. And fingers crossed, we followed the same steps as we did this past season. We're gonna get another great garlic harvest. That is certainly our hope. Well, folks, we hope you enjoyed today's video. If you haven't grown garlic before, we really encourage you to look into it, give it a try. If you have your own tips for growing garlic that you'd like to share with others, go ahead and leave that in the comments. We'd love to hear and read those as well. But if you did enjoy today's video, folks, don't forget to give us a like, leave us a comment, remember to share and subscribe, and most importantly, remember, when you're with us, you are good to grow.